Welcome back to the $1 million Tipping Point podcast. Today, our guest is Monica Bay. She is here. And what I'm hoping to chat about today is how to awaken your spiritual power so that you receive what you need for your business growth. How Monica effectively runs 4 businesses. Yes, you heard that right. She runs 4 businesses. And also maybe touching upon learning about the power your subconscious has when holding yourself back from massive growth. And hopefully we can touch on all those. So take a listen. Monica Bay, she is known as the Healer in Heels and is a globally renowned metaphysical healer, spiritual teacher, and founder of Mystic University and Mystic Circle TV. Certified in Cellular Biology from Harvard, she holds expertise as a life coach, Reiki Master, hypnotist, and psychic medium. Endowed with innate spiritual gifts encompassing healing, psychic prowess, and energy manipulation, she's crafted potent life-altering techniques. Monica's work enables individuals to tap into inner strength, surmount self-imposed confines, and actualize deepest aspirations. My goodness, welcome, Monica. I feel like I tripped over that. I actually haven't done a podcast recording in like 4 weeks, so I'm a little bit rusty on my reading bios. But anyway,
you did great. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
I am glad you are here too, and I think it's going to be a very, very thought-provoking interview for sure. Just for our audience, as you remember, this podcast episode is brought to you by my business, Corporate to Contract. Go to corporate2contract.com to get the 14-day sprint to starting your online business. And don't forget to sign up for the Tipping Jar of Wisdom, where you get the exclusive content from Monica every Thursday straight to your inbox. So Monica, let's talk about these 4 businesses. I just want to kind of jump into that. So for our audience, Monica Bay is known as the Healer in Heels. She's also got Mystic University, Mystic Circle TV, and the Mystic Marketplace. How do you manage 4 businesses? It sounds like they're all kind of similar though, which is good,
yes,
but like how?
That's actually the key. That's the how. Is one thing that I've learned over time of running. I've owned many businesses in my life. First one since when I was first 6-figure business that I had was when I was 19. Ooh. So and since then I've had many different businesses and corporate career, which we'll get into all that. But so one of the things that I have grown to realize through business is that when you're running a bunch of things, because I'm going to backtrack for a second. I am a creator. I am a builder and creator. That is my archetype, and that is something that I enjoy. I am alive when I'm building or creating something. So I am multi-passionate and also multi-talented. So that has been an issue my entire life. My entire business career, especially entrepreneurial career, is trying to stay focused, So one way that I'm able to run 4 businesses is the fact that they are actually related. And that is the formula that I've come up with to realize that everything has to contribute to the ecosystem. If it doesn't contribute to the ecosystem, no matter how great the idea is, I need to either put it on the shelf or give it to someone else which I give other people business ideas all the time because I get so many. So yeah, I have a great team. So I would say a couple things, how I run these 4 businesses. I have a great team. I could not do all of this without a team. If I was a one-person shop, all of this would not be happening, or I'd be bald because I'd be pulling my hair out. But great team, making sure that everything is related, and also that I'm focused on the same exact target market with all of my businesses. So it doesn't compound my effort. I can just keep focusing on the same target market. People go into my ecosystem, and then all the different things that I have, they're able to partake in.
So then what is Mystic University, and how is that different from the Mystic Marketplace?
Okay, so Mystic University is a school for the spiritually gifted, but the secret is everyone is spiritually gifted. And so what I do is I bring people's gifts out of them. So Mystic University is all about learning yourself, learning your inner power, but also learning how to tap in and wield that power, because there's a difference between knowing that you're powerful and knowing how to knowing that maybe you have some psychic ability or you have some energy manipulation ability or whatever it is that you feel like you have. But most people know that they have these things and they don't know how to use them. And no one taught me. So I had to kind of learn on my own. So one of the things that I was really tasked with by by the universe, was to build this schools, as we are moving into, and we are already in an age where people are waking up consciously, and people are starting to go more toward self healing and self empowerment, and also just tapping into their inner spirit. People need to be aware of more of the things that are out there outside of just the general stuff that you can find on Google. The stuff that I teach at Mystic University, you can't find on Google, and you can't find in books either. Most of the stuff that I do teach some basic stuff too for beginners, but a lot of the stuff that I teach you cannot find anywhere else. It's because I'm also a channel, and I channel this information directly from the universe. And when I show people these things, it's absolutely amazing.
So then what is your healer in heels and your mind advancement method?
Okay, so the healer in heels is that's who I am, but that's really more of my brand. It's my personal brand, and I use that really collectively in everything, but more so on like monicabay.com, where this is where I work with people one-on-one. So here's a different, I'll compartmentalize what's going on here. So I have my one-on-one clients, which I, work one-on-one with people for anything that they want, whether they need hypnosis, mind advancement method, life coaching, healing, anything at all. I will work with people one-on-one through that, and that's through monicabay.com. And Mystic University is more of a university setting. It's more group setting. And I'm taking people through different classes and things like that. I do the same thing on both sides, just in different ways.
Wait. Backtrack. So to me, it sounds like the university, you're teaching people your method, or no, are you still?
I'm teaching people. What I do is I do have my own healing method. I'm not teaching my method directly. What I do is I'm teaching people how to access their power. And the way that I teach is very different, because I'm not teaching very specific, like, okay, this is how you do this, this is how you do that. I'm teaching them how things work so that they can create their own ways. I'm also giving them ways, but then encouraging them to use their own creativity so that they can then come up with, once you understand how something works, then you can always roll with it. It's like teaching someone how to fish versus fishing for them, right?
Okay.
So what I teach lasts a lifetime versus just, okay, if you have this problem, this is the solution. It's I teach them how to think. I teach them how to access their power and to use both of those things together to solve problems using their own spiritual power.
Okay. Okay. I think I understand that better.
Be a lot of things. Yeah.
And then, so how does the Mystic Marketplace and Mystic Circle TV fit into this as well?
Okay, so the Mystic Marketplace is something I just created a couple months ago. So this was also from me just having so many, a million ideas. So I started creating products, and the first ones that I created were manifestation puzzles. And so manifestation puzzles, I have, there's ways that you can program energy on objects to work in particular ways. So for the manifestation puzzles, I have programmed the energy so that when people are actually doing the puzzle, it will bring them to whatever result they were looking for. So there's puzzles where, yeah, it's amazing, and it works.
It's like a this is a simplistic way to say it. Is it like a magic 8-ball? But
well, it's like, so I'll give you an example. So I have a manifestation puzzle for prosperity, right? That's one of the common ones that everyone wants. So the puzzle is programmed with energy that will begin to manifest the prosperity for you. But as you are, it comes with instructions, and as you do the puzzle, you do it kind of ritualistically. So you're focused on your intention of manifesting whatever prosperity that you want. You do the puzzle, you put it together. As you are putting it together, your manifestation is beginning to form. But not only is the manifestation beginning to form in the ether, in the universe, and in your aura, because it's connected to your energy system, but it also begins to form in your mind and in your spirit. And a lot of people, one feedback that I've been getting from a lot of people regarding those is that while they're doing it, they're starting to see things more clearly, see their problem more clearly, see the blockages more clearly, and be able to remove those blockages, because all of that is really part of a manifestation. It's not just the end result, but it's how you get to that end result.
Now, this might be a little unpopular. I don't know if this is I've been told before that I am very good at manifesting without knowing I'm good at manifesting, like growing my business very well and successfully without a newsletter list, like all these things, like just like clients leave and I'm like, it's okay, another one will come and another one comes,
Yep.
something like that, right? And my question though is, and this might be unpopular, to me in my head, isn't manifestation just like an obsession about something and thinking about it all the time? And like, I guess by thinking about it all the time, you're throwing it out into the universe. And, or is it a little different? Because again, I don't know how to, like you said, maybe I have that power in me and I don't realize it. But to
Yeah,
me,
you
I just
probably
thought
do.
whenever I get what I want is because I think about it and I think about it and I obsess about it and I try to find every solution possible to get the answer that I want.
Yeah, so manifestation can be looked at in multiple ways. And one of the things is that with manifestation, the way that you just described it is a very common way that a lot of people do it, and that can take a long time. What I teach is faster and more powerful, because there's a way of, now naturally when you think, yes, that does work. When you think about something, you obsess over it, you go after it, generally you get it, right? But there are also other, but it does take some time depending on what it is, right? But there are ways, that's just a natural way. You're just using what naturally happens to in your energy system. Your thoughts become reality. It goes into your aura. It starts to attract. That's basic law of attraction. But when you really know how to tap into your power and wield it, it's not bypassing, but it's going beyond what your body and your spirit naturally is going to do. You can go reach into the ether and just take it and bring it to you in the now or in the very near future. And that's the type of stuff that I teach.
It reminds me of when I used to play Super Mario when I was a kid. Some of the levels had a secret like entrance where you'd skip everything.
Yeah.
Okay, so you'd be like great, and you'd find it by mistake usually. I mean, back then there was no internet really to find these things, so you could either take the level like the really long way and then go finally get to the end and woo, or you could go jump up, and who knew it? When you jumped up at that exact place, you'd skip everything and go right to
Yes.
the end. That's
Yes, I love that analogy because I always use Mario Brothers analogies. I'm like, am I aging myself? But I love it.
Well, no, that was like a real old school Game Boy that my parents got me when I was like really young. That's probably the
Yeah, I know I
last.
had one.
Yeah, that's probably the last video game I've actually completed in my life.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
okay, so that's really interesting. Can you give us an example of a client who completely changed the trajectory of their life after working with you?
Every single client that I have, I actually have 100% success rate
I
over,
saw that on your website. Yeah.
yeah, over 11, well, no, 12 years now. Every single client that
Give
that
me
comes
like,
to
do you have an
me.
extreme example of just like one client that was just like, whoa, they totally changed their life. They went from X to
Okay,
negative B
well,
or something.
yeah, I mean, I had a client that came in, this is when I had this is just the first thing that popped in my head. But she had MS, where she couldn't feel her legs or hands for like 3 years. I think it was 3 years. And I worked on her for the first time, healing, and she was able to get her feeling back in her legs and hands. We also worked on mindset stuff and things with her marriage, because there was a whole lot of fear and things going on. So using hypnosis and also doing even more healing work emotionally on her, removing some trauma and things like that. Her entire life changed, and I don't know, they were not married at that time. They were together, but having a lot of issues because of all of her traumas and things like that. And then they got married shortly after that, and I check on them every once in a while, and they're doing amazing.
Wow, very
And
interesting.
she still has her feeling in her legs and her hands.
Wow, interesting. So,
Yes.
what do you say to those people who don't believe in this? They think it's woo woo, or they poo poo
Mhm.
it, and they're like, nah, because I'm sure you get approached by those people, or you've talked to those kind of people in your life. What do you say to them? Do you
Yeah.
just say like, whatever, not for you, or do you try to be like, no, but listen, it's amazing?
Well, this is the way I approach things. I believe that everyone's entitled to their opinion. I understand why people have limiting beliefs. I believe that the people who immediately don't believe in it, it's one thing if you try it and you're like, no, it's not for me. But the people who immediately don't believe in it, they have mental blocks and limiting beliefs. And a lot of times you're not going to get past that anyway. But if someone is open to hearing about it, learning about it, and to look at it objectively and say, hey, does this make sense? Is this something that I want to do? Then that person I will explain more to. But if it's someone that I know is just blocked mentally, and they're not at the level on their spiritual journey where they recognize the possibility of these things, because the thing is, like, no matter what religion you are, every spiritual scripture has the stuff in it. Like, I don't understand why people don't believe it. Like, every single thing, like, it's okay for Moses to talk to a burning bush, but it's not okay to be healed. But that doesn't make any sense. But I get it. People are brought up with certain theologies and certain really a lot of it honestly is just limiting beliefs that are instilled within us from childhood. And I also believe that certain people are on certain paths, and they are meant to be on this type of path where they're open to this stuff, and some people are just not, and that's okay.
So are you saying that if I guess this might not ever happen, but if you tried to work on someone who is absolutely closed to this, it wouldn't work?
No, I've worked on people who were closed in the beginning, but they weren't completely closed, or else they wouldn't have booked me, right? They weren't completely closed. They have to be at least willing to do something. But I have worked on people who were skeptical, but they went through with it anyway, just because they didn't know what else to do. They were in a desperate situation. And then they quickly become a believer, because I mean, like I said, I have 100% success rate, and just me having one session with someone, they feel the difference immediately. Like, my results are not months later or weeks later, they are in the moment. Like, if someone has I'll give you an example. Just the other day in one of my classes, I have a monthly healing circle. One of the women, and this is the second time this happened in my healing circle, one of the women just got over COVID, and she was starting to have the long COVID where you have the brain fog and everything. So I did my thing, and within minutes, her brain fog is gone. And it doesn't come back, because I've done this with many people. And so, like, because I've worked on my power and I know my abilities, I'm not necessarily concerned with having to prove myself to people, because at the end of the day, if someone comes to me, immediately they're going to realize that I'm the real deal, whether they want to believe it or not.
Yeah, and it's all remote, right? I think you told me that off air. It's all remote.
Yeah,
That's it.
everything is remote. Yeah. Because the reality is, one thing that a lot of people don't understand, which I'm sure you understand now, having had your experiences, but a lot of people don't understand that we don't have to be physically with someone to be able to affect each other's energy, because there is no time and space. And I don't want to get too deep down the rabbit hole with physics. I'm a physics nerd, but I don't want to get too. But the reality is, it's just, I use it, it's like analogous to cell phones. And even right now, we're talking, right? We're on a Zoom call right now, and we're connected. You can see me, I can see you, we can hear each other's voices, but we're not physically in the same location. Is there a physical wire bringing us to each other? No. It's the internet. It's actually, the internet actually taps into this energy field that exists. So do cell phones and stuff like that. And it's the same thing between two human beings. We have invisible signals that we can connect to one another. And so we don't have to see it to believe it. We don't have to see it to be able to use it. And it's natural. And so when I'm healing someone, I can just tap into them no matter where I am. I have clients all over the world, all the way as far as Australia, and I'm able to tap into them, and they can actually feel what I'm doing while I'm doing it.
Yeah, I know. We talked about this off air. Like, I did not believe it at all, because I go to an energy healer occasionally. And once COVID happened, it was all remote. And I was like, I just don't know about this. But she did, like, what happened right in the beginning of COVID is I damaged my knee very, very badly. And I was able to get in for an MRI before they shut everything down. And then I went months without surgery, which sucked. But in the very beginning, even before the MRI, she was doing it remote. And she said, I see, she did it when I was sleeping. That was her like, I would tell her when I would be going to bed, and she would say, okay, I'm going to stay up until like 11 or 12 and get in there. And she was like, I see there's something flapping around your knee. It might be your meniscus, but it feels like it's a flap, like more than a break. It's just something's loose in there. And she couldn't quite get in there. And I didn't feel any better. I was like, thank you for your help. But like, I didn't really feel any better. But they had told me they thought it was a torn ACL. It was just like, that's what it probably is. The MRI results come back and it was called a bucket handle meniscus tear, which is a flip. It flips, the meniscus flips, and it like,
Mm-hmm.
it's not like a normal tear. It flaps around in there. And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
oh my God, she saw that.
Yeah.
And then this is another crazy one. This was last year. I got really bad mastitis. I'd been breastfeeding and it must have clogged or something. Horrible mastitis. This is like not about business right now, guys. I promise we'll get back there.
That's okay.
But like I called, I was just so desperate. I was in so much pain. I had high fever. The antibiotics wiped out the mastitis, but I still was in a lot of pain. And so I contacted her. I was like, can you work on me tonight? But I didn't tell her. This was probably not polite of me, but I was like, I'm not going to tell her where it is. I told her what breast it was, but I didn't tell her where the clog was. I knew where it was because I could feel it.
Mm-hmm.
The next day she calls me, she had worked on it. I felt instantly better the next day, like amazingly better. And I was like, oh my God,
Mm-hmm.
she helped. She did whatever she did. I called her. She knew exactly where it was. She could
Yeah.
pinpoint exactly on my breast where the clog was, where it had all originated from. I was shocked. And I was trying to tell one of my friends about it. He was like, this is all BS. It doesn't matter. She probably just guessed. I was like, no, you don't understand. She knew exactly the tear when she knew that remotely, and the exactly where the clog was. Like, it could have been anywhere on my breast, but she knew exactly where. And it was just like, oh my God. And so now I'm like, I'm a believer. I really am. It's like, not that I wasn't before, but like the remote stuff had me hesitating.
Yeah, yeah. The thing is, once you experience a really good healer, and not all healers are created equal, so you got a good one. Not that there are bad, but there are more advanced healers than others. Put it that way. And so whenever you experience a really really good healer like that, especially when you can feel those instant results, I mean, you can't. There's no way you're not going to believe in it, because it just happens.
And it's so hard to explain. And I know what you mean by the healers. I got a spa gift card once and I found someone who did like Reiki in the spa. And I was like, great, I really need a Reiki session. It was like the worst session. I was like, what is this? Like, I don't even know what she was doing. And she kept coughing. And I was like, I like,
Oh,
I don't know if you do this, but she kept exactly to an hour. Like my energy healer just goes with it. And it's like, as long
mhm.
as it takes her, that's what she's
Yeah,
going to
that's what
do.
I do.
Because she's like, you can't put a time limit on it. Right.
Hmm.
And this woman was like an hour done. And I was just like, this is not right. I didn't feel any different. Okay. We could talk about this forever, but like, let's talk about how you even got into this quickly, as
Yeah.
short as you can make it. So we can talk about your businesses as well. But you were a VP at a finance company. You had worked your way up to that. And then
Yes.
how did you make a leap from VP at finance company to this Mystic Healing?
Yeah. So it is a long story, so I'm going to shorten it. So I'm going to take it back to when I was in my early 20s. So I'm turning 45 on Saturday, by the way.
Oh, happy birthday.
So this, I'm just giving it. Thank you. I'm giving my age so you can see how long it's been. But early 20s, I was in college, headed towards law school. I started just a regular job just to have some money because I was a poor college student. And it happened to be at the bottom of a publicly traded company as a debt collector, right? So it's this finance company, and I started as a debt collector, literally at the bottom of the company. And then within 8 months, I got promoted, and then a month later, I got promoted again. And then within a year and a half or 2 years, maybe, of starting this company, I was pretty much running it. And so I became a VP at a very, very young age, and I was the youngest executive in this industry, and I was very, very successful. Really, really hardworking. It turned out I ended up having a knack for business, which I didn't realize at the time, because I was headed towards law school. I had a knack for that too, but once I got into this company, I was already making great money. I was like, why bother going to law school? I'm going to just stick with business. So I stayed there for 13 years, but midway in, my body started breaking down on me. I became paralyzed. It was partial and temporary paralysis. So it wasn't paralyzed where, I would just remain paralyzed. I would remain paralyzed for several weeks. And then I would have a couple days where all of a sudden it would start to lift a little. Then I would be paralyzed again. It was very weird. It would come and go. And it was partial. So I couldn't use my hands. I couldn't grip things. I couldn't walk at times when I was in the paralysis phases. I couldn't walk. And so my whole entire body, I was having a lot of symptoms of strokes and things like that. And doctors were running tests on me. They diagnosed me with MS, lupus, all kinds of things. incorrectly, by the way. So they couldn't figure it out. Every test that they ran came back normal. And they're like, I don't know. They did muscle biopsies, cut me up, all these things for nothing, put me on steroids. And some people who are listening to this right now can relate because they're probably going through something similar. And what happened was my sister is a psychologist, and she is the one who put it in my head of, what if it's stress? Did you look into that? And I'm like, well, because she's like, well, if all the doctors are, not seeing anything, maybe it's something they can't see. What if it's stress? And at the time, I didn't realize what stress can do to the body. And so I started going down that road and realized that, yes, it was stress. It was stress and anxiety. And it was because I was overworking myself. And so what I did was I tapped into back into my healing ability, because I actually forgot that I was a healer. Even though I was born this way, I've always had these gifts. But at the time I was only focused on money and success.
Yeah, but how did you know that you even had these gifts to begin with? Like, had
Um,
other things happen that you were like, that gave
yeah.
you
So when I was really, really young, I noticed that I could just easily make headaches go away. People felt better when I was in their presence, like the healing stuff. At the time, I didn't really understand it, but in hindsight, looking back, I realized that's what that was. And then I was also always able to see spirits. And so that, from the time I was a very, very young child. But then when I was like 14, that's when I started to really understand the stuff, and I started to look more into just this whole realm of woo woo and things like that, and started to understand myself more. So then I started to actually hone my abilities and skills and things like that, up until I started just focusing on money and success when I was in this company. And then I kind of forgot my power, which can easily happen to the most powerful people. You can easily forget when you start to veer off and be focused on other things. So it's like, literally, I felt like I was asleep this went on for 2 years, by the way, the paralysis, and doctors trying to cut me open and figure out what's happening. So 2 years of this, I feel like I was kind of like buried alive, where it was like, I almost like a zombie, where I was just like, I didn't, it was almost like I was I was in the matrix. And then all of a sudden, after my sister said that to me and I realized what it was, I popped out of the matrix, and I was like, wait a minute, what have I been doing? I've been allowing whatever's going on inside of my body to to actually control me, to really limit me and everything else. So then at that time, I took my power back, and I healed myself in 6 months and haven't looked back since then. And so going from that, I was still working at the job, but that a moment really took me to another level. Once I healed myself, and in order to do that, I had to really dive in deep. Just a minute. Okay. I had to really dive in deep to into my own energy system and body, because there were no books on this at the time. The internet was just new. I'm so old. The internet was new. So it wasn't like you could just easily find. And plus, even if you Google that now, you really won't find the stuff that I've discovered. So I had to dive in deep to understand, how does anxiety work? What is anxiety? Okay, we know what it is by definition, but what is it really on the energy level? What's happening inside of your energy system? Where do these things come from? What is stress? What's happening in your energy system? How does it affect your physical body? So I had to dive into myself. I'm also a medical intuitive naturally. So I was able to dive into myself and see what was actually happening, what was going on with my cells, what was going on with the energy system. And
I've heard of that. There was this guy on this documentary on Netflix, like Heal or Healing or Healer.
Oh yeah.
Heal. It was a few years ago. I think it was
pre-COVID. I haven't seen the whole thing yet.
Yeah, but he like healed his spine after a car accident. Like he was like completely paralyzed, I think, in a wheelchair or something. If you guys haven't seen this Netflix documentary, it's really interesting. It's about alternative healing techniques and stuff like that. But he did that. He like went into his body and saw the cells and was able to repair his spine. It was,
yeah.
Oh my God.
It's totally possible. And there's tons of people who have done this. I'm not the only one, obviously, as you're saying. There are tons of people that have done this, and it's been proven throughout all of history. And so I'm like, I don't understand why people don't believe this stuff, but it's been proven throughout. There's been many people who have publicly done this. and who have or who have done this privately and then become public about it afterwards, and you can clearly see like no doctor went in and did surgery and fixed it. They did it. They fixed it themselves simply through intention and energy. And so that's what I did. But what ended up happening was once I healed myself, it really took me on another level of my journey. I started to open up more spiritually. I'm also a channel, and sometimes spirit guides and things come through me, and like I go into these trances. So I was shown all of these things about my life purpose, my more gifts that I hadn't realized I had, and all these visions were happening over the course of like 2 years, and it was like constant, and I was just opening up and opening up. And then I recognized, after being shown my purpose, that I was supposed to be doing what I'm doing now. So I decided to make a transition. And I'm a person who I refuse to have money problems and be broke. It's just not something I'm going to do. So I didn't leave my job right away. Like, okay, I'm just going to do this now. I phased it in. So I started doing this on the side. And then while I'm still working, so I still needed my multiple six figures. So I was working and still working my executive job, and then on the side starting this healing business. And I told myself, once this healing business gets to the point where it is bringing in the same amount of money as I'm getting in my current business, in my current job, for 6 months straight. And by the way, and so the healing business is part-time. Obviously, the other thing is full-time. So if I can get this part-time, the same amount as this full-time for 6 months straight, then I know it's reliable, and then I can quit. So that's what I did. And I was able to leave in 2014 is when I actually left finally. But I was doing this for a few years before and building the business. So once I left corporate America, my money actually tripled, because I was able to make part-time what I was making full-time. So then when I moved to that full-time, it actually tripled. And so it was a great transition for me, but very methodical. I'm a Virgo. So I think things through. I'm not just, I'm very strategic about things. So basically that's how I shifted and made that transition.
All right, interesting. And you said now you have a team, right? And
Yes.
it's like very, like they help you run it. You would not be able to do it on your own. How many
Yes.
people do you have on your team, and are they employees or are they contractors?
They're contractors right now. Next year, I'm looking to make them employees. But I have believe it or not, only two main people on my team. But then I have other contractors that I work with, depending on what it is. So 2 people that are on my team that work with me throughout all the businesses. And each person has kind of their own area that they mainly focus on, but then we cross-pollinate. And then I have tons of like video editors and for the TV network, and
More like project based that come in and out.
yeah, it's more project-based stuff. But yeah, believe it or not, I'm able to run 4 major businesses that bring in very good money with only 2 additional people.
That's
And
amazing.
a lot of AI right now.
Oh, it's been taking off. I use it for my business too. It's very helpful.
Oh God, I love it.
So then tell us, like, what are some hiring challenges you've had, and how do you make sure you get the right fit for your company?
Well, it's funny that you say that, because I'm in a hiring challenge right now. And because one of the person, I just promoted her to manager of Mystic University, and she pretty much runs everything, and like I lean on her for everything, and she's amazing, but she's with child. So now I'm trying to find someone to bring in to replace her while she's gone, because you know how it is, you don't never know when you're going to pop. So we're trying to get and she's coming up, so we're trying to get people in, but it's very nauseating. The hiring process is very nauseating. But what I like to use is, and I'm not affiliated with this company at all, but I'm sure you've heard of it, Upwork. I like to use Upwork to find people, and then also referrals. So a lot of times I'll go through, and I've gotten referrals already, and I've met with them, and I'm like, okay, this person's not going to work out. And I look for very specific things, so it's kind of hard. But one thing that I do is I use my manifestation ability, and I always get the right person. In fact, the one that is going on maternity leave soon, she came because actually she came in when my other one went on maternity leave. So, and then I kept her on after she came back. But at the time, I was having the same issue where, okay, interviewing people, not a good fit, not a good fit. And then I did use my manifestation power, and then I found her, and then she's been perfect and such a godsend ever since. Yeah. So really, I kind of use everything that I do is spiritual. So it's not ever really compartmentalized. I am very much business, but I'm also very much spiritual, and I marry the two.
So what do you think, how has your management and leadership style changed over the years?
My management style has actually remained the same because I think it's pretty good. I'm very fair yet firm. And I'm also very bubbly, and everybody loves me. No. But yeah, my management style hasn't actually changed very much because I was kind of naturally a good leader. And so it's really I think what's changed more than my management style is just my perspective on business in terms of focusing, because I'm multi-passionate. That's been the biggest
Like you were
thing.
saying, make sure everything's in the same ecosystem that you're doing.
Yeah. But my management style is very communicative. I'm very open with all of I'm also very personal as well. I kind of blur those lines a little bit with my staff. If somebody needs healing, they tell me about what's going on in their lives, and I give them some healing. It's a perk of working with me. You just get some free healing. But my style is really about creating a team that feels like a family, and it's not just a job. But I look for people that are connected to what I'm actually doing and believe in what I'm doing.
I hear that a lot. Like, make sure your team is connected to your mission and values and really
Right.
believes that in their soul.
Yeah.
So, what do you think is the most important action item you've taken over the years to grow your business from the multiple six figures up to seven figures?
So I would say the number one action would be focus, because again, that's been like my theme. It's difficult for me because I'm so multi-passionate and I have so many ideas, and I also have so many different talents. So focusing, because I'll give you an example. I used to have a hypnosis business by itself, and then I had a coaching business by itself, and then I had an entertainment business, things that were not connected, but they were still successful. They just were not connected. And so I think if I had to pinpoint one change that I made that has really elevated my finances and my growth potential, is focusing and bringing things together under one umbrella instead of being piecemeal all over the place.
How do you think in your business right now you balance spending money and making money? So like with the business money itself, where do you decide when you're going to spend that money and it's worth it versus when you should hold back? How do you balance that?
So I have a measurement that I do and ask myself a question: is this going to contribute to my bottom line or the ecosystem in a positive and very direct way? Then it's worth it. If it's not, then it's a nice to have.
Do you have an example of one you can think of right now?
Well, okay, yes. I was going to launch a music streaming platform, created it and everything. It was done. And then I was having a lot of hiccups with getting into the Apple Store, and there was a whole lot of things going on. And then it was delayed for a while. So then by the time it was ready to come out, which was just a few months ago, it was ready to come out, I had to take a hard look at that with everything that I have going on right now. And I abandoned it because I said, this is not, I asked myself that test, is this going to contribute? It would contribute to the ecosystem, because it was going to be about just spiritual music for like metaphysical kind of people. But it was not going to contribute in such a substantial way that it was worth continuing with. And it would have ended up costing a lot more money, and I would have had to hire more people and everything else. So that was not a cost and time, because there's two ways of looking at cost, right? Time and actual money. And I look at both. And so it was not worth that investment to continue. I had already invested thousands of dollars into it, but it was like, do you want to invest more? Do you want to continue with this? And then also possibly shift some of the focus to what you're doing right now, because to grow something, you need to focus on it. So then I decided, no, that it wasn't. So I abandoned the project.
Was that hard?
It was.
Yeah, I know, after all that time.
It was hard. Yes. Yes. But I did it because at the end of the day, my focus is growing what I'm doing now, and everything that I do is purpose driven. So I can't, in my mind, I cannot sacrifice any of that for anything.
What do you think holds people back from their business growth subconsciously?
Limiting beliefs. I think a lot of limiting beliefs are like, there's a lot of things that I can say are the number one thing, because there's so many things that like intertwine and create chaos in our lives, right? In our minds. But limiting beliefs is one of the top things that really, really affect people and stop them from being able to move forward. There's so many people with imposter syndrome, which is a limiting belief. There's so many people who, just because they don't know something, that they may not currently have the knowledge to do that, they think they can't. And so when we start to tell ourselves we can't, then we can't, we don't. And so people need to start believing in themselves and really shooting for limitless potential, because that's really where it is, and discovering how you can get to those limitless potential spaces, because every business has immense potential depending on how you're approaching it.
I saw something, I think it was an Instagram post the other day, and someone said, instead of saying like, I forgot what they said, but they said basically, when you're starting off in something, just say, I'm learning it. I'm still learning it. As opposed to just being like, I can't do this, or this is new and I don't know how to do this. Just say, maybe that was it. Don't say I don't know how to do this. Say I'm still learning it. And just that slight shift really stuck with me, because I was like, yeah, that makes sense. Like I'm creating a course right now and putting it into a course platform, and I get stuck sometimes. I'm like, ooh, this is just so much to learn, and I don't know how to do this, and I don't know, am I ready for this? And then I'm like, reading that, I was like, yes, I'm still learning this, and that made it feel better.
Yeah. And I help a lot of people building businesses as well. I'm also a business strategy coach. I do so many things. So I just throw that in there. If I happen to be working with someone who also wants to start a heart-centered business of some sort, then I will, help them do that. But one of the things that I find very common with people that I work with regarding businesses is that they simply don't think about, the fact that, I don't currently know this. We're in an age right now where information is more readily available than ever before. Like, there is no excuse for not knowing something. All you have to do is look it up. But for some reason, people still have that mental block where they don't think to, let me immerse myself in this for a month and really learn this. I don't know marketing. Let me learn it. Let me immerse myself in that. I may not understand business strategy. Let me go get a couple books and learn more about that. I'm a huge, even though I'm very well educated, I'm very knowledgeable about a lot of things, I never ever get to the point where I think I know everything, and I think that I can't learn more. And so we're always we're always in a state of becoming. We're always becoming something new, and we should remain in that state of becoming and allow that state of becoming to continue. And especially with learning, that's how we grow, is we learn in different forms. But definitely educationally, learning more. And you don't have to go to school for that. Like I said, we are in an age where information is so readily available. You can go to YouTube University for free. You can Google, you can get on ChatGPT now. There's like so much, fact check their information though, but there's so much, there's so many ways that you can teach yourself things and learn, and then, taking online courses and things like that too. So I think that when it comes to business growth, a lot of people forget about the learning part. And that if you want to take yourself to that next level, if you're at, because I've helped people go from 6 figures to 7 figures and beyond many times. And if you're at 6 figures and you're doing great and all this other stuff, but you want to take it to that next level is not who you are right now. You have to become another person with new knowledge, you have to make changes to get to that level. Because once you hit that 6 figures, multiple 6 figures area, you're going to continue to stay there in that window until you do something to catapult yourself higher.
That actually answered one of my questions that we had in the very beginning when I introed. It's just basically you have to become a new person.
You do.
To grow your business.
Yeah.
Where do you see your business going in the next, let's say, 5 years even?
So 5 years, Mystic University is going to be much, much bigger. Growing by 5 years, growing probably, because my goals, I'm looking at that. Yeah, 500 times more, because I'm looking to increase 100 times per year or more. And it's very feasible. I have a whole plan. But Mystic University is going to be very, very big. Mystic Circle TV is still growing. We're already in 62 countries, 640 million households.
Wow.
But the content we're growing. And so
is that free? If our audience wants to look at it, it is?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, it's free. And so mysticcircletv.com. And it's also available on all Samsung smart TVs all over the world.
Oh,
and also on Roku. If you have a Samsung,
I'm thinking, because I know we did. We have Roku, so I can at least check that and check it out.
We're on Roku too. Roku too. So go find the Mystic University channel on Roku. If you have the Roku device.
Yeah, we do downstairs. Upstairs, I think it's Samsung. Yeah, no, it is.
Okay.
Because we have Samsung TV.
I'll be on both TVs.
Okay.
Yeah. So my goal right now is to continue to build Mystic University, continue to build Mystic Circle TV. The Mystic Marketplace is kind of a sister company of Mystic University. That is a store where I sell spiritually infused products. Everything is spiritually infused. Even the chairs I sell, there's furniture in there. There's chairs that are spiritually infused with energy, specifically programmed.
And there's puzzles.
The manifestation puzzles. There's the focus chair. When you sit in it, it helps you focus. So it's an office chair, but there's a lot of different things. So I have that the Mystic Marketplace is really kind of supplementary to Mystic University. And a lot of the Mystic University students go there to get stuff. And then I'm also starting a church. I already started it, but it's not officially launched yet. So I'll be launching that in a few months. And that's going to be called Mystic Temple. And that is going to be live, or not live, it's going to be televised. The revolution will be televised, as we say. It's going to be televised on Mystic Circle TV.
Okay. Yes. Very interesting. Oh my gosh, so much going on. I mean, what do you think, if you could give us loosely, what do you think generates the most revenue for you right now out of all your businesses?
Right now, the one-on-one, one-on-one sessions, because they're high ticket packages, but right now I'm actually in the middle of transitioning to focus less. I have a long waiting list for my one-on-ones right now, and I am currently in the process of transitioning so that I can Mystic University will be the main thing. And I'm still growing that, because I literally just started Mystic University in 2020, right after the pandemic started. But I had a couple false starts as I was figuring out what I actually like and what I want to do. And so I kind of restarted it again in February. So I'm using that more so as the marker of how long I've been doing my current structure. And it's working very well, and I'm growing that.
Oh, I wish we could talk about that a little bit. False starts.
Mhm.
What can you say about that briefly? Because I know a lot of my audience sometimes it can feel really discouraging.
Mhm.
And I like looking at it as false starts, not giving up, or failing.
Yeah.
But like, what's the difference? Can you just speak to that briefly between failure and false starts, and how do you know you should continue on something?
Yeah. So I don't believe in failure. Because I don't believe you can fail at anything unless you actually stop. And even when you stop, it's only a failure if I'd never just see it as a failure. Because if you stop, you decided that this is no longer something I want to go after for whatever your reason is, but that's not necessarily a failure. I believe in pivoting. And not, I don't really give up in things, especially if it's something that I am uh, tied to from a purpose standpoint and the spiritual standpoint. Everything that I do is purpose driven and soul driven. So when I'm moving down my path, I'm going to keep moving down my path. I don't care what boulders come in my way. Like there is nothing that can stop me. There's things that can slow me down, but there's nothing that can stop me. So if I see it, I'll just use that analogy. I see a boulder in the road, I go above it, around it, or through it and find solutions. And sometimes that's a pivot. Sometimes when things, if you're having a false start in your business, like I had a false start in the university, and that it wasn't, yeah, it was several things, but what I did was I decided, okay, this isn't working, let me try this, because that was my first time starting an online university. So I was like, this isn't trying, let's try this. No, I'm going to go back to this now. And then it kind of died out because I wasn't. So what I was doing was I have an all access pass. And so at first, when I first started the business, it was selling courses by themselves. You just buy the course, you watch it, right?
Mm.
It's all on demand. That's kind of the formula. But it's kind of outdated now. But that was the formula then. And so you buy the course, blah blah blah. So I was getting people to buy the courses and stuff, and it was going well. Then I decided to do an all access pass. And then so people were jumping into the all access pass, they were on it, but then but I had promised like I would do set things every month, like it came with the package, right? And then I decided it was kind of, I didn't feel like doing it that way. Then I did away with the all access pass. And then I started selling courses by themselves again. But by then things were kind of dying down on people's willingness to pay for a course and like take the whole entire thing, because people were doing those long form courses.
Mm-hmm.
And in studying that and also looking at the marketing and also looking at statistics and everything, I realized, okay, that wasn't it. So I was focused elsewhere. And then I decided in February of this year to bring back the all access pass, but I had come up with a whole new structure. And then it just took off. I have had 500, I think it was 528, because I just did a post the other day, 528% growth since February.
Wow.
In the all access pass. And so yeah, so that's really what my focus is. And so when we talk about false starts in that story I just told, what you saw was pivoting.
Mm.
Wasn't giving up. It wasn't like, okay, the school isn't working. It was, let's see what works. Let's see what works. Let's see what works. Okay, we found what works.
Mm.
And it's just pivoting. And then sometimes you have to pivot several years down the line because things change. And that's something with, again, with continuous making sure you're educating yourself, paying attention to the trends, paying attention to your industry, paying attention to your market and what they actually want and what's changing about people's attention spans and
Mm-hmm.
what's changing in the market. I am very big on podcasts like
Mm-hmm.
yours, very big on podcasts. I'm very big on listening to audiobooks while I'm doing other stuff, reading regular physical books or Kindle books on business and marketing and all of those things, because that has really given me more knowledge and information to allow me to continue to grow, so that I have the knowledge backed behind everything that I'm doing, so I can make more intelligent decisions and receive more success.
Mm. And I think that something really interesting to take away from that for our audience is that sometimes you just didn't feel like it. You were like, I'm not feeling it. It's
Yeah,
your business. You can do whatever the heck you want. I mean, sure, there might be
exactly.
some ramifications with customers who had an all access pass and it got taken away, whatever, but you can figure it out. It's your business. And I think people get
Mhm.
like so stuck on like, oh my gosh, this is how I've been doing it. What will people think when I change it? But it's like, come on, it's your
It's
business. Do what
yours.
you want. And I struggle with that all the time. And I
Yeah.
have in the past. And then I remember it was never quite a big deal, as big of a deal in my head as I thought it was.
Right, right. We always
Yeah.
make it a huge deal in our head, and the reality is, it's your business. If they're for you, they will stick with you. If some drop off, that's okay, because you'll gain new ones. Where
Mm,
some drop off, new ones will come, and it's okay. But you should always do. My advice to anyone out there listening to this right now, you should always do what feels right to you in your business. What
hmm
feels right, and what feels good to you, in addition to thinking about what your target market wants and all that. You still have to feel right about it as well.
hmm
And it
hmm
has to, yeah, because you don't want to now create. A lot of people go into entrepreneurship because they no longer want to work for other people, and they have this great idea and they want to build this business, but then they end up creating another job for themselves,
hmm
right?
hmm
And then
Yep.
it's like, okay, I gotta go do this. And it's like, no, that's not how it should be. You should be doing something that lights you on
It
fire.
energizes you. Like
Yes.
and when it doesn't energize you anymore, you know that it's time to change. And that's what
Yeah.
I tell my students, and that's what I tell myself. Like if this is making you angry and you're like, I don't want to be doing this, and it feels like shackles, then it's time to change your business.
Exactly. And that's where you pivot. You could either abandon the entire business because it's no longer fits where you're going in your next phase of your life, or you can pivot your business to fit what it is that you do want. What
Mm,
reality do you actually want? I always tell people to design their life, design your actual life.
mm.
What kind of work environment do you want? What kind of lifestyle do you want to live? How much free time do you want to have? Because when we create jobs for ourselves, we take away all of our free time.
Yep. Yep.
Now
Absolutely.
we're, instead of working 9 to 5, now we're working 24 hours a day.
Absolutely. All right.
Yeah.
If you could distill down your advice really succinctly for women as they want to grow their business to 7 figures, what should they do?
So one thing is, when it comes to growing your business, you need to take actually a step back. Instead of going into action, okay, I need to do this, I need to do that. Actually need to take a step back, and you need to look at. What I like to do is, I'm very visual. I like to draw out my ecosystem. So on a piece of paper, or use one of those mind map software online or something, but draw it out. Say, okay, this is my core business. These are the other maybe side things that I have going on that still fit into the ecosystem. And then here's the customer journey. And then looking very clearly at that customer journey and the entire ecosystem, and seeing where the opportunities are on that journey to start to expand in different directions, start to offer the customer more value, start to offer the customer more something. And obviously there's touch points, and then there's payment points within those touch points, right? So that is really, when we're talking about growing businesses, at the end of the day, it's all about your bottom line. And it's all about, to me, growing business is not about growing the audience. It's about growing the money, because you can have a small audience and get more out of that small audience than you can have, millions of people that you get less out of, because it's all about strategy.
I actually learned a lesson of that, interestingly, with my podcast. Obviously, the guests share it, and I get really excited when I get a big guest on my show and someone who has a large audience.
Mm-hmm.
But I got this one person on my show she was fine. She had great advice, didn't really think much of it. She shared it, and she had such a small connected audience. She's my top listened to podcast episode. And I was like
Really?
blown away, because in my head, you think like, oh, but it's the big names but they churn out so much content all the
Mm-hmm.
time. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just a little different from what you're talking about, but like, it was a
Mm-hmm.
good realization, a good lesson for me to be like, oh, sometimes smaller is better. Like,
It is sometimes, because it's really about the quality. It's not about the size.
yeah.
Quality over quantity. Because I've even seen articles where people who have millions of followers on Instagram or TikTok or wherever can't even sell one t-shirt.
Yeah. I've
Because
read that too. Sometimes some people, it's like they haven't really figured out how to get them to buy, just how to get them interested in their life, pretty much.
yeah, and it's
Yep.
usually because they're following them for a different reason, right? They
Yep.
don't want to buy your t-shirt. They want to see you do stupid pranks.
Right.
Like so you have to you have to know your audience. You have to know
Yeah.
your audience.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I do believe that it's not about the size, it's about what you're doing with the people that you do have. And then obviously you want to continue to grow those people and grow your lists and stuff like that. But I think the number one thing for business growth is to take a step back and actually analyze your business and see where those points of opportunity are, and make sure you're only tackling one at a time.
Mm-hmm.
Don't try to be like, here's 10 points I see where I can make changes. Let's do it all at once. Pick the, when you have to choose, when you see many touch points where you see that you can improve and add maybe an upsell or something like that too, then you need to decide which one is going to have the most impact and work on that one first.
All right. I could talk to you for a very long time. Very much so. I love this. But tell us, where can we find you? List your Mystic Circle TV, your Mystic University, your Healer and Heals, everything. Tell us.
Yeah.
And if you have any
Okay.
kind of freebie you want to give our audience, let us know.
Okay. So you can find me at monicabey.com. That's Bay spelled B-E-Y. So monicabey.com. And from that website, you can get to all my other websites too, but I'll give you my other websites too. So mysticuniversity.net is the school for the spiritually gifted, but all of you are gifted, so you can come. You're welcome. And, and then Mystic Circle TV is mysticcircletv.com. And that is, again, available on the website. We also have an app. You can download that app from the Apple and the Google Play stores. It's free TV, and everything on Mystic Circle TV is all around mysticism, metaphysics, and self-improvement. And we have shows, we have documentaries, we have docuseries, we have all kinds of fun stuff. And that's it, I think. Oh, and the Mystic Marketplace. It's themysticmarketplace.com. Themysticmarketplace.com.
All right. Awesome. Thank you. What is one philosophy, mantra, or quote you try to run your business by?
My philosophy is kind of broken down into three. It's focus. It's hold on. Where'd it go? Okay, yeah, so sorry. So it's focus, contribution to my ecosystem, right? That question, is this something that's going to contribute to my ecosystem? Because as I get a million ideas, should I do this or should I not do this? Is it going to contribute to my ecosystem in a positive way and real way? And is this purpose driven and soul driven? So my philosophy on my business is that everything has to fit within those three things. So I make sure that I stay focused. That's something I've learned over my career. Stay focused. You'll make more and you'll do better and have more success when you do that. And to make sure that everything fits within the ecosystem, and that everything that I do is from the heart and purpose driven.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much. And again, thank you for joining me on this interview. And if you're a part of our audience and you're listening to this show and you found it informative and valuable, do us a little favor. Help us grow the show and share it with others. You can tag me on Instagram at Virtually Kiri or on LinkedIn. And Monica, thank you again. Everyone stick around or sign up for my, not stick around, sign up for the newsletter, the Tipping Charges Wisdom, where you'll get the exclusive content questions. Thanks, Monica.
Thank you.